You're in the middle of your exam and suddenly you come to a question where all four answers are technically correct. It's not one of those questions where there is a obvious clear choice and three bad choices. That would be too easy. And it's not what you've been taught. A question where there are two obvious bad answers and you just have to narrow it down to two. That's not this type of question either. This is the type of question where technically all four choices are really good teacher moves, and it is your job to choose which one answers the actual question. So you pick one and you move on. And you never really find out if your answer is correct or not because the ILTS exam does not tell you if you've gotten the answer wrong or if you got it right. All you get is a score at the end. That is a specific kind of stress, and it's not the kind that more studying will fix because you know the material, you have the content down pat. So let me show you what's actually going on in that moment because it's a pattern and it repeats itself. And once you can recognize the problem, you can learn how to solve for it. Before we jump into all of that, my name is Kiana and I am your test taking strategist. And here at Over the Hurdle, I support pre-service teachers in passing their licensure exams. I specifically teach test taking strategy and not content. If you need the content, there are other well-known resources that you can use, such as 240 Tutoring or Mometrics or any of those content-related resources. My job is to teach test-taking strategy. Last week, we talked about scenario-based questions and how to answer those. And if you missed that video, I will drop it in the description of this video. This week, we're talking about sequencing questions, specific questions that ask for the first step or the next step. So here's the trap. On the ILTS exams, there are specific questions that are called best answer questions. But these types of questions are playing a very specific game, and almost nobody notices the switch. So the questions that you're used to are the best or most appropriate questions. In those questions, you get four answers, and one is the strongest answer of the three. Your job is to rank those specific types of questions by quality and then choose the best one. Those are the ones that you've been trained on, and those are the ones that you are really, really good at. So when a question shows up that feels like that, you're on it. You run the same play. Pick a good one and move on. But you have to be careful because not all questions are those types of questions. Specifically, you need to watch the wording. This other type of question doesn't ask which answer is best. What should the teacher do first, or what should the teacher do next? These are what I call sequencing questions. On a first step or next step type of question, all four answers can legitimately be something that a good teacher would do. None of the answers are wrong. Contact the family, great answer. Differentiate the assignments, great answer. Pull a small group, great answer. Every single one of those responses are legitimately great responses and something that you have probably done in your classroom. So if you are evaluating those types of responses in a similar way in which you evaluate the best answer type of responses, all four can pass. They are all really good responses. You really can't tell them apart, so you end up grabbing the one that you would personally do because all four look right. And that's the whole trap. A first, next sequencing question is not asking you to choose the best option. It's asking you to put them in order. So the job quietly shifts from ranking quality to ranking order. And that one specific word in the stem of the question is what tells you so. And right, but not first, is the same thing as wrong. So what do you do when you actually catch one of these? There are four moves that you need to take. And these four moves take only a few seconds once you get into the habit of them. So the first move, catch the word. The instant you see first or next, clock it. That single word tells you that the game has changed. Now you are ordering the answers instead of picking the best one. Most people miss this point because they never actually register what that word means. Step 2, assume all four answers are reasonable. Don't waste your time asking, is this best practice? Because most of them will be really good responses. Expect all of the answers in these types of questions to look reasonable, to look logical, and to look pedagogically accurate. That's normal, and that is exactly the point of these types of questions. Step number 3, you're going to ask yourself what has to happen before anything else can work. This is the one. This is the one that matters. I've told you time and time again on the ILTS exam, when you come across a question where a student is struggling, there is nothing that you can or should do until you know what's actually happening. You have to assess before any action takes place. So the step that comes first is always to assess, gather more information, do an observation, look at the student work, check the data, gather some information before you move into action. And finally, step 4. On a next step question, read what has already been done. For the most part, these types of questions, the next step questions, the assessment has already been done. So your job is to determine the appropriate intervention. The right answer in these types of questions continues the sequence. So for these types of questions, read where you are in the story. If you want to know what types of questions are slowing you down, that is where my strategy gap screener comes into play. It's 20 questions, no studying required, and it tells you exactly which test taking strategies are slowing you down. It's also free, and I'll drop the link in the description below. And if you've already got a test date coming up and you want me to take a look at your specific situation, read your score report, and build a personalized study plan for you, that's the work that I do one-on-one. But there's no pressure. Start with the free screener and see what it tells you. If you found this video helpful, please, please, please do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and most importantly, share it with someone who needs help getting over this hurdle. I will be back in your feeds next week with a brand new strategy as I continue this question type series. In the next video, I'll be talking about the best/most appropriate qualifier, so you don't want to miss it. If you have any questions, any comments, anything that you are extremely confused about, please drop it in the comments below. I read every single comment, and those comments really help me to determine the next strategies that I'll be working to teach. Until next week, bye.